students, welcome back to biology online class. In the previous video, we have discussed about male reproductive system, right? So in a similar way, let us discuss with the female reproductive system. So the female reproductive system is more complex because it is not only involved in the production of gametes, but also here the fertilization, implantation, development of fetus, nourishment of young ones, etc., which takes place in the female reproductive system. That is why it is more complex than the male reproductive system. So the important parts of female reproductive systems are paired ovaries, accessory ducts, and external genitalia. The accessory ducts involves oviduct, or it is also called as fallopian tube, uterus, and vagina. And the external genitalia consist of mons pubis, vestibule, hymen, and clitoris. Next, we look at the primary sex organ first, that is ovary. The ovary produces female gamete, that is ovum or egg. Both remain same. So hence it is called as primary sex organ. So in case of sexual reproduction, what happens is male gamete, that is sperm, and female gamete, that is ova, they fuses together to form zygote. Clear? So the ovary also produces a hormone called as estrogen and progesterone. So the function of estrogen is it is responsible for secondary sexual character in females, that is enlargement of mammary gland, growth of hair in the armpit, menstrual cycle, etc. The function of progesterone is it is very important hormone during pregnancy. So this ovary, it is located one on each side of uterus or abdomen region. So the ovary is connected to the pelvic wall or to the uterus by ligament. So here is the internal structure of ovary. So each ovary, it is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. The ovarian stroma has two regions, outer cortex and inner medulla. The ovary contains group of cells called as ovarian follicles or Graafian follicle. So Graafian follicle is a mature follicle. Before that, there will be immature follicle called as primary follicle, secondary follicle, and tertiary follicle. Then it matures to form Graafian follicle. And in each follicle which carries ovum. So this is the overall structure of ovary. Let us talk about next part, that is accessory ducts. So accessory ducts includes three regions, that is oviduct or fallopian tubes, uterus or womb, and one more is vagina. So next is we'll discuss regarding oviduct, that is fallopian tube. So the fallopian tube is of 10 to 12 centimeter long. They exist in pair. And the fallopian tube originate from the periphery of ovary and extends up to uterus. Its main purpose is to receive the ovum from the ovary. So this is divided into three regions. One is infundibulum, ampulla, and isthmus. So infundibulum, it is a part which is close to ovary and it is funnel shaped. So there is finger like projection which is called as fimbriae, which helps to collect the ovum from the ovary during ovulation. Clear? So ovulation is nothing but release of ovum from the ovary. Second part is ampulla. It is the middle part of fallopian tube. It is somewhat wider part. And the last part is isthmus. So it is narrow part. It joins to the uterus. Clear? So next accessory duct is uterus. It is also called as womb. So uterus is somewhat inverted pear-shaped structure and it is muscular and hollow. So that is why it can actually have contraction and expansion. So here what happens is inside the uterus fetus development takes place. Now egg which was released from the ovary, later it is fertilized, and fertilized egg develops into a baby inside the uterus. So this uterus holds the baby for 9 months. So uterus has 3 parts: upper fundus, middle body and terminal cervix. So cervix of course later opens into vagina. The uterine wall which has 3 layers, namely perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. So perimetrium, it is the external thin membrane. Myometrium, it is middle layer which is made up of smooth muscles, whereas endometrium, it is the inner layer and it is made up of glandular cells. So endometrium which undergoes cyclical changes during menstrual cycle, whereas myometrium which exhibit strong contraction during the delivery of the baby. Clear? So last accessory duct is vagina. So vagina is tube-like structure where actually sperm discharge occurs here. So it also acts as birth canal. Here in the female reproductive system there is a gland called as Bartholin's gland. The secretion of this gland which lubricates external genitalia during sexual intercourse. So let us discuss with the last part of female reproductive system, that is female external genitalia. Okay, so we know very well that ovary and uterus, they are not included in the external genitalia. By now I think you are very clear with what is ovary and what is uterus, right? If you consider this as female reproductive system, right, just now we have discussed with this. So these are the ovaries and this is the uterus, right? Yeah, so these two parts are not included in female reproductive or female external genitalia. So ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟು ಫೀಮೇಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಜೆನೆಟೇಲಿಯಾಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? So the things which are included in external genitalia are mons pubis, repeat with me, mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen and clitoris. Okay, so here first one, mons pubis. So as name indicates, pubis, it will be having pubic hair. Okay, it will be having pubic hair on it. So there will be a layer of fatty tissue like this. There will be a layer of fatty tissue and it is covered by skin folds and pubic hairs like this. Clear? So this part is called as mons pubis. So there will be pubic hair so that it can be easily identified. Clear? So second part is labia majora. So as the name indicates, majora, so it is the major segment of external genitalia and it is nothing but tissue fold which surrounds the vaginal opening. For example, if this is the vaginal opening, if this is the vaginal opening, okay, so it is surrounded by tissue folds. So here I'll draw the tissue folds. Okay, and this is called as labia majora. Clear? So then there will be labia minora. So this labia minora, the structure, okay, they are paired structure. Agree? So there are a pair of labia minora is present and which is present under labia majora. So labia majora outside allirutte, labia minora inside allirutte. Clear? Yeah. So next yaudu hymen. So this hymen which covers the vagina. For example, as I mentioned, if this is vagina, okay, so this hymen is partially covers the vagina. So ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, partial ಆಗಿ cover ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Clear? So during intercourse what happens? It usually breaks. Clear? And it is believed that presence of hymen, it is the indication of virginity. And the last one is clitoris. So clitoris is a finger-like structure which is present upper junction of labia minora. So this is labia minora alva. So upper junction alli finger-like projection irutte, adanna ನಾವು clitoris ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಇದೊಂದು ರಫ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾನು ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡುವ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? The following parts included in female external genitalia, they are mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen and clitoris. Clear? So I will talk about this in detail. So mons pubis, as I mentioned, they are cushion of fatty tissue which is covered by skin and pubic hair. As name mentioned here, pubis, it is covered by pubic hair. Clear? So next one is labia majora. They are fleshy folds of tissue which extends from mons pubis and surrounds the vaginal opening, right? As I mentioned. So next is labia minora. They are paired folds of tissue present under the labia majora. Okay. So hymen, what is hymen? The opening of vagina, it is partially covered by a membrane which is called as hymen. And the last one is clitoris. Clitoris is a finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of two labia minora just above to the urethral opening. Clear? So this is about female external genitalia. I hope you understood what I'm trying to convey, right? Yeah. So next concept is about mammary gland. So this mammary gland, it is one of the characteristic feature of a mammal, right? Agree all of you? So mammal word itself originated from mammary gland, right? So if somebody will ask you about the characteristic feature or major character of a mammal anta kelidre ಏನು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? So your opinion will be mammary gland, right? So this mammary gland which is well developed in case of females. Agree? It is present in male also, but it is not well developed. So mammary gland, it is well developed in females which are having the capability to secrete what? Milk. Agree? Yes. And this milk, which is very important secretion because it has different kinds of immunoglobulins. What you mean by immunoglobulins? Andre antibodies ella irutte. Okay? So which is very essential for the child. Agree? Yes. So the first milk immediately after parturition, it is called as colostrum, right? I hope you know this. So this contains antibodies called as IgA. There are different types of antibodies, but colostrum has antibody called as IgA, okay, which gives immunity to the child so that it can fight against different kinds of infection. Okay, so breastfeeding is very important for a newborn baby. So let us now discuss with the structure of mammary gland. So as I mentioned, so it is the characteristic of all female mammals. It consists of glandular tissue. What do you mean by glands? So they are nothing but they used to synthesize something, right? So here there is synthesizing milk, and it has got variable amount of fat. Means the amount of fat, it is not equal in all females. It varies from person to person. So first point is clear. So it consists of glandular tissue and variable amount of fat. So the glandular tissue of each mammary gland, it is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes. Okay. So what happens to this glandular tissue? So glandular tissue of each breast, it is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes. What it has? So this mammary lobes, which consist of specialized clusters of cells called as alveoli. Okay, I think we have learnt about alveoli in somewhere else. You remember in first PU, in the chapter called as breathing and exchange of gases, there inside the lung there is alveoli which helps for exchange of gases, right? So that is different. Here the alveoli is nothing but in the mammary lobes, it has clusters of cells. They are called as alveoli. So actually alveoli ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ milk secrete ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. Clear? So secretion of milk will takes place in the alveoli. Okay, and this secreted milk will be stored in the cavities or lumen of alveoli. Okay, later this alveoli opens into mammary tubules. Don't confuse it. So I'll draw the diagram, rough diagram draw ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ so that it will be easier. Okay, so if you consider this as alveoli, if you consider this as alveoli, okay, so here is the lumen or cavity. Okay, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ milk secretion ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Agree? So this is the lumen or cavity. This is the alveoli where milk secretion takes place. Okay, so after that what happens? They will join to form mammary tubules. ಇದು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಮೆಮರಿ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. The tubules will join to form memory ducts. ಈ ಸುಮಾರು ಇಂಥದ್ದೇ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು, okay, like this. These tubules join together to form memory duct. Okay, so such ducts join to form. ಈ ಥರ ಸುಮಾರು ಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ವ, ಸೊ ಈ ಡಕ್ಟ್ಸು ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ದೇ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮೆಮರಿ ಆಂಪ್ಯುಲಾ. Okay, so which is connected to laciferous duct. So this is very important because milk is sucked out from lactiferous duct. Clear? Don't get confused. I'll clear everything. So initially ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? alveoli lumen ನಲ್ಲಿ milk store ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Agree? So later on this milk will be passed through memory tubules. So several memory tubules join together to form memory ducts. Okay, so several memory ducts, they join together to form memory ampulla, and later memory ampulla opens into lactiferous duct through which milk is released out. Clear? So I'll show the picture of mammary gland so it will be clear. So here is the picture. Okay, in this picture you can see the structure of ribs. Sorry, here is the rib structure. So in front of this there is a muscle called as pectoralis major muscle, and in front of this there is presence of breast. Clear? Now these are the fats. Can you see here yellowish color? Yeah, these are the fats. The amount of fat that is variable, and this is this whole structure is the glandular tissue. Okay, so this glandular tissue, which is divided into 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So can you see this picture? 1 2 3 4. So like this there will be 15 to 20 mammary lobes. Yes, can you see? Yes. And this mammary lobes has clusters of cell. Agree? So here you can see inside the mammary lobes or lobules clusters of cells, which is called as alveoli. Okay, this is alveoli. So in the alveoli what happens? Milk will be secreted, right? So secreted milk will be passes through mammary tubule. So mammary tubule se pass agutte, right? So here is the mammary tubule. Mammary tubule in the mammary ductic pass agutte. Mammary duct in the mammary ampulla pass agutte. Then they join together to form lactiferous duct. So from which milk is secreted out. Clear? So this is all about mammary ducts, or it is called as breast. ಸೊ ಈ ಮೆಮರಿ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ, ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದ ವರ್ಡ್ attendance all. Okay, this is just a trick to remember, that's it. You can use your own trick. Attendance all. So here A refers to alveoli, T refers to alveoli opens into mammary tubules, T, right? Mammary tubules which opens into here D refers to mammary duct. Mammary duct opens into mammary ampulla, and then it opens into lactiferous duct. So our next topic is gametogenesis. Here, as we studied, what you mean by gametes? So there are two gametes, right? Male gamete and female gamete. So male gamete is called as sperm, right? Female gamete is called as ovum. Agree? So genesis andre no, genesis is nothing but formation. Okay, so here what happens? Formation of gametes takes place. Now the question is where these gametes are produced. So this male gamete, that is sperm, which produce in where? In the testes, right? And the female gamete, that is ovum, which produce in ovary, right? Ovariಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. And this testes and ovaries are called at gonads ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಓವಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಗೊನಾಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಗೊನಾಡ್ಸಲ್ಲೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಯಾ. So in general, gametogenesis, it is the formation of gametes in the gonads. I think this is clear. There are two types of gametogenesis. One is spermatogenesis. It refers as formation of sperms. And second one is oogenesis, nothing but formation of ovum. By now we are clear that formation of sperm takes place in the testes and formation of ovum takes place in the ovary, right? Yes. Now let us discuss with the spermatogenesis in detail. Okay, I think definition will be clear. It is the process of formation of sperms, it is also called as spermatozoa. Don't get confused. Sperms and spermatozoa are one and the same. Okay, where exactly they produces? In the seminiferous tubule of the testis. So if you have considered the structure of seminiferous tubule, so it is lined by two types of cells. Okay, so lining of seminiferous, if this is a lining of seminiferous tubule, it is lined by two types of cells. Okay, one is, this is male germ cell, this is male germ cell, whereas these cells are called as Sertoli cells. Clear? So the male germ cells are also called as spermatogonia. Okay, and it is diploid in nature. Diploid andre eno? So chromosome number will be 46, right? So haploid andre half of it. Chromosome number 46 idu half ಎಷ್ಟು 23 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? But spermatogonia is diploid in nature. And they will grow and differentiate into sperms by the process called as spermatogenesis. ಈ ಮೇಲ್ ಜರ್ಮ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಅದು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಗೋನಿಯಾ ಆರ್ ಮೇಲ್ ಜರ್ಮ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಯುಬಾಯ್ಡಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಶೇಪ್. Whereas the Sertoli cells, ನಾವೇನು ಇವಾಗ ಓದಿದ್ವಿ, they are elongated cells and which gives nutrition to the sperms. Clear? Yeah. Now the stages of spermatogenesis, it includes two steps. One is formation of spermatids and second one is spermiogenesis. So formation of spermatids includes where spermatogonia, as I mentioned, it is male germ cell or sperm mother cell anta kariteve. Why? Because it is immature one. Okay, so initially this spermatogonia or male germ cell or sperm mother cell, one and the same, they produce spermatids. Okay, and these spermatids are not actual sperms because they are immotile, because sperm will be motile, right? Motile andre move ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಟೇಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಟಿಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಟೇಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಟಿಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಇಂಟು ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೊಟೈಲ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್. ಆರ್ ಹೆಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ spermatogenesis. Now the question arises is when it begins in males. So it begins at puberty. So why at puberty? Why not during birth or after birth or during old age? Why? Because the amount of a hormone called as gonadotrophin releasing hormone. This is important. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone is more at puberty. So that increase in the amount of gonadotrophic releasing hormone, it induces spermatogenesis. Clear? Now let us talk about the process of spermatogenesis. This is important. So the spermatogenesis process, which is completed in 3 phases. So it is not there in your textbook, but generally we call it as there are 3 phases in spermatogenesis. One is multiplication. Okay, from here to here we call it as multiplication or proliferation anta ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ವೇರ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಗೋನಿಯಾ, ಆಸ್ ಐ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಗೋಸ್ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್, ರೈಟ್? ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ನಂಬರ್ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಗ್ರಿ? ಸೊ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಈಸ್, ಈ ಫೇಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಇನ್ diploid spermatogonia and which forms specialized cell called as primary spermatocyte. Okay, so third phase is maturation phase. So where primary spermatocyte means this cells undergoes maturation, okay, which undergoes actually meiosis. There are two divisions, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, and finally there will be formation of spermatids, right? So spermatids transforms into actual sperms or spermatozoa. This is generally what happens in spermatogenesis. Okay, so now we'll study the spermatogenesis process in detail with the help of schematic representation. So here is the structure or schematic representation. This is important. They may ask for 5 marks. So here these are, can you see this? These are spermatogonia, okay, which is diploid in nature. So this spermatogonia which undergoes mitosis. Can you see this? Which undergoes mitosis. So it will form 2 spermatogonia, right? 1, 2. 2 spermatogonia agutte. So again mitosis agutte. Okay. How many spermatogonia will be formed? 4 spermatogonia will be formed. And these 4 are diploid in nature. Why? Because mitosis is equational division, right? So idanna ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ, we call it as multiplication phase. Here the spermatogonia will be multiplies into many cells. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? So after that there will be growth phase. There will be growth phase. This is multiplication phase. See, growth phase alli enagutte. So here all the spermatogonium will be going to diploid alva. So growth alli they are dividing with the help of mitosis, and there is no reductional division in the number of chromosome after mitosis. ಹೌದಾ? ಇದು ನಾನು ಆವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. So in growth phase the spermatogonia will increase in its size and it is now called as primary spermatocyte. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಫೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಗೋನಿಯಾ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದರ ಸೈಜು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆದಂತಹ ಸೆಲ್ಲನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಸೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಏನಂದರೆ, ಹಿಯರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೈಜ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ಡ್, there is no changes in the number of chromosomes. Chromosomes 2n ಇತ್ತಾ, ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಸೈಟಲ್ಲೂ 2n ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So sometimes they may ask you, so is spermatogonia is haploid or diploid, or primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, or spermatids are haploid or diploid. So you must remember the basic process. Okay, so spermatogonia ನಾನು ಆಗ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಇದು ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಸೈಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಸೊ the spermatogonia is diploid. It is divided by mitosis. Obviously all these cells are going to be diploid. Then there is increase in size, there is no change in the number of chromosome. Howda? So the primary spermatocyte, which is this cell, now it is diploid, right? There is maturation phase which undergoes maturation phase. ಇದನ್ನು maturation phase ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. So this primary spermatocyte will now divide into secondary spermatocyte with the help of meiosis 1. Can you say that here? This is meiosis 1. So I repeat, primary spermatocyte which undergoes meiosis 1 to form secondary spermatocyte, right? So meiosis 1, we all know they are reductional division, nothing but the chromosome will become half of it. So it will yield how many chromosome number will have to these secondary spermatocyte? They will have haploid chromosome number. Why? Because primary spermatocyte divided with the help of meiosis 1. So the chromosome number reduced. So the secondary spermatocytes are haploid. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? So after that, this secondary spermatocyte which undergoes meiosis second. Okay, the secondary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis second to form spermatids. Okay, so they are haploid. Why? So here also ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸಲ್ಲೂ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಆದದ್ದು, ಬಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಹಿಯರ್ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಸೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟಿಡ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇವಾಗ ಹ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹೇಗೆ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಮಿಯೋಸಿಸ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವೇಷನಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಮೈಟೋಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ PUC ಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. So this phase is called as maturation phase. After that, these spermatids, the end product of maturation phase alva, end product of maturation phase yaudu? Spermatids. So which will differentiate into motile sperm with the help of, so ಈ sperm ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತಾ picture ಅಲ್ಲಿ? So ಈ motile sperm ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, spermatid ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು, by the process called as spermiogenesis. Okay, so there is difference between spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis. Okay, so spermiogenesis andre conversion of spermatids to the spermatozoa or sperms. Spermatogenesis andrenu? Conversion of spermatogonia into spermatids. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನದರ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ದೇ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೇಷನ್, ಬಟ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಹಿಯರ್ ಹೆಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ಸ್, heads ಅಂದರೆ this part, heads of these sperms will be getting embedded into Sertoli cells, and after that the sperms are released from the seminiferous tubule. This process is called as spermiation. ಸೊ ಯಾವಾಗ ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಸೆಮಿನಿಫೆರಸ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯೂಲನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಸೊ this is the diagram of seminiferous tubule, right, which is given in NCERT. Let's have a look. So here this is, can you see this? This is spermatogonium. You can observe there, here spermatogonium they have given, there it was spermatogonia, right? Difference ಏನilla, spermatogonium ಅಂದರೆ it is singular one, spermatogonia ಅಂದರೆ plural one. Okay, so if there are many spermatogonium, it is called as spermatogonia ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay, so this spermatogonia which will increase in its size to form primary spermatocyte which is diploid in nature because mitosis ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Mitosis equational division, right? So after that secondary spermatocyte form ಆಗುತ್ತೆ which is diploid in nature. Okay, sorry, secondary spermatocyte will be haploid in nature because ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, meiosis first ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. After that what happens, which undergoes meiosis second to form haploid spermatids. Okay, so the spermatids will be the heads of spermatids. Can you see this? They will embedded in the Sertoli cells. Howda? So later they will release from the seminiferous tubule and this process is called as spermiation. So in general, a primary spermatocyte which produces two secondary spermatocyte. Agree? ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ previous schematic representation ನೋಡಿ. A primary spermatocyte means this, ಒಂದು primary spermatocyte ಎಷ್ಟು secondary spermatocyte ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? 2. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಸೈಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟಿಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ spermatocyte means this produces how many spermatids? 2 spermatids, correct? Yes. So thus a primary spermatocyte andre one primary spermatocyte which produces how many sperms or how many spermatids? 4. So one primary spermatocyte which produces how many spermatids or sperms? 4 sperms. Clear? Any doubt? If you have got any questions, you can contact my WhatsApp number. You can ask questions. Okay. So next is spermiation. As I mentioned, after spermiogenesis, the sperm head are embedded in the Sertoli cells to get nourishment. Then they are released to lumen of seminiferous tubule and the cavity. Lumen and the cavity. It is called as spermiation. Okay. Next topic is role of hormones in spermatogenesis. So it simply means that how different types of hormones are going to control the spermatogenesis process. Okay. So first let's go through some basics so that it will be easier to understand this topic. So as we have discussed that the process of spermatogenesis which started at puberty, right? Agree? But why at this time? Why? Because at the time of puberty, as I mentioned, the hormone called as gonadotrophin releasing hormone, howda, GnRH anta karitivi. So this hormone are quite high in concentration. The concentration of gonadotrophin releasing hormone is very high at puberty, which will induce spermatogenesis process to be started. Okay. So these hormones GnRH or gonadotrophin releasing hormone are released by hypothalamus. Okay. So these are hypothalamic hormones. So hypothalamus releases GnRH. Because of its high concentration at puberty, it induces spermatogenesis. Now let's talk about hormonal control. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್. hypothalamus which secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone, which will affect the anterior lobe of pituitary. Okay. So pituitary ಎರಡು ಲೋಬ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, anterior and posterior lobe. Here effect will be to the anterior lobe of the pituitary. So this anterior pituitary which secretes 2 gonadotrophins, ಎರಡು ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಅನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು LH ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, means luteinizing hormone, and second one is FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. Okay. So this LH or luteinizing hormone which acts on Leydig cells. Now what are Leydig cells? Male reproductive system ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಇಂಟರ್ಸ್ಟೇಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಲೇಡಿಕ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲೇಡಿಕ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ರೋಜನ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನಂದರೆ ಅದು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ರೋಜನ್, ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟೋಸ್ಟಿರೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಟೆಸ್ಟೋಸ್ಟಿರೋನನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ವಿಚ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಷುವಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮೇಲ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿಚ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ಸ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್. ಈ ಪ್ಯುಬರ್ಟಿ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಫಾಲಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್. ಇದರ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ? ದಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಸರ್ಟೋಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸರ್ಟೋಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ these stimulates secretion of factors for spermiogenesis. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮಿಯೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸಿಗೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕು, ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಸರ್ಟೋಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೌ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ದ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮೆಟೋಜೆನೆಸಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್. ಐ ರಿಪೀಟ್, hypothalamus, which releases or secretes a hormone called as gonadotropin releasing hormone, which acts on anterior lobe of pituitary, and this pituitary secretes two hormones called as LH and FSH. Sorry, luteinizing hormone, which acts on Leydig cells, and these Leydig cells secretes androgen, which is a hormone which is responsible for secondary sexual characters in male, and it also stimulates spermatogenesis. Clear? And the second hormone of pituitary called as follicle stimulating hormone or FSH, which acts on Sertoli cells and which stimulates the secretion of certain factors for spermiogenesis.